Level Up: The Science of Personal Growth, Success, and Lasting Change, written by Ronnie Rowland, published by Growth Literacy Lounge. What if the secret to success wasn't about working harder, setting bigger goals, or waiting for motivation to strike? What if real transformation came down to something far simpler, small, intentional shifts that compound over time? Most people believe that change happens in big, dramatic moments. They picture overnight success, sudden breakthroughs, and life-altering decisions. But the truth is, lasting change is rarely about a single moment. It's about the small, consistent actions that stack up over time. Science has proven that growth isn't a matter of willpower or luck, it's a process. And once you understand the process, you can apply it to any area of your life. This book isn't about vague self-help advice. It's about science-backed principles that show how real change happens. We'll explore how your brain rewires itself through neuroplasticity, why identity-based habits lead to permanent change, and how small improvements can lead to exponential results. You'll learn why who you believe you are matters more than what you want to achieve, why tracking progress keeps you motivated, and why surrounding yourself with the right people makes success easier. The best part? You don't need to rely on motivation. You don't need to be born with talent, have the perfect circumstances, or wait for inspiration to hit. You simply need to apply the principles in this book. When you do, change becomes inevitable. This book is designed to be practical, not just inspirational. Each chapter will give you simple, actionable steps that you can implement immediately. You won't just read about success, you'll create it. Whether you want to improve your health, build better habits, or achieve personal or professional goals, the strategies in this book will help you level up. Here's the reality: you are not fixed. Your habits, mindset, and even the way your brain works can change. Growth is not a mystery, it's a science. And once you understand the science, you can apply it to anything. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Identity-Based Growth: Why Who You Are Shapes What You Do. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That quote by James Clear reveals a major flaw in how most people approach change. We think success is about setting bigger goals, but goals alone don't change behavior. Identity does. If you want lasting transformation, you need to stop focusing on what you want to achieve and start focusing on who you need to become. Most people make the mistake of setting outcome-based goals. They say, I want to lose weight, I want to save more money, or I want to be more productive. They may even follow a plan for a while, but eventually, they slip back into old habits. Why? Because their identity never changed. They were still someone who struggles with weight or is bad with money. When the goal was reached, the motivation disappeared, and so did the results. Now, imagine a different approach. Instead of focusing on outcomes, you focus on identity. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, you tell yourself, I am a runner. That simple shift changes everything. A runner doesn't need motivation to train. Running is part of who they are. A healthy person naturally makes better food choices. A disciplined person doesn't struggle with procrastination. Their actions align with their self-image. Your brain is wired to act consistently with your identity. If you believe you are someone who never follows through, you'll unconsciously find ways to prove that belief true. You'll procrastinate, make excuses, or give up early. But when you shift your identity, your behavior starts to change automatically. You no longer have to force yourself to take action. It happens naturally because it aligns with who you are. The good news is, identity is not fixed. You can redefine yourself by proving your new identity through small wins. If you want to be a writer, don't wait until you publish a book. Write one sentence today. If you want to be fit, do 5 push-ups. Each small action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Over time, these votes stack up, reinforcing your new identity until it becomes second nature. One of the most effective ways to shift identity is by changing how you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, I'm bad at remembering names, say, I'm getting better at remembering names. Instead of I hate working out, say, I'm becoming someone who enjoys movement. Your words shape your reality. The more you reinforce a new identity, the more your brain starts to believe it. Your environment also plays a huge role in shaping identity. We naturally adapt to the habits of those around us. If you spend time with disciplined, driven people, you will absorb their behaviors. If you surround yourself with negative influences, their mindset will impact you. Be intentional about your environment. If you want to be a reader, put books around your house. If you want to eat healthier, remove junk food from your kitchen. Set yourself up for success. Now it's time to apply this. Think about one area where you want to improve. Instead of setting a goal, complete this sentence. I am the type of person who. Make it specific. I am the type of person who prioritizes my health. I am the type of person who follows through on commitments. I am the type of person who makes smart financial choices. Once you have your statement, take one small action today to prove it true. This shift may seem subtle, but it's powerful. Identity-based growth is the key to lasting change. When you change how you see yourself, your actions follow effortlessly. You don't have to force yourself to grow, you naturally evolve into the person you want to become. That's the secret to leveling up. In the next chapter, we'll explore how small, consistent actions compound over time. You'll learn why a 1% improvement each day can lead to massive results and how to make progress without burning out. Chapter 2. The Compound Effect. Why tiny gains lead to massive results. Most people believe that success comes from massive, life-changing actions. They think they need a complete overhaul of their habits, routines, and mindset to see real progress. But that's not how lasting change happens. The truth is, success is built through small, consistent improvements over time. The problem is, small changes often feel insignificant in the moment. If you read 10 pages of a book today, it won't make you a genius. If you skip the gym, you won't gain weight overnight. Because there's no immediate consequence, we assume these tiny actions don't matter. But over time, they add up. This is the power of the compound effect. A 1% improvement every day may not seem like much, but over a year, it leads to a 37 times improvement in that area of life. Imagine if you improved your fitness, finances, or skills by just 1% daily. At first, the progress would be invisible. But as the improvements compound, the results would become undeniable. The same principle applies in reverse. Small, negative choices don't seem to matter in the moment, but over time, they lead to failure. Eating one unhealthy meal won't harm you, but consistently making poor choices will. Skipping a single workout doesn't make you unhealthy, but skipping them regularly leads to decline. James Clear describes this perfectly. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money grows through interest, habits grow through repetition. The earlier you start, the bigger the results. The problem is, we expect immediate rewards. We go to the gym for a week and see no change, so we quit. We save a little money, but our bank account still looks the same, so we stop. We assume our efforts aren't working because we don't see instant results. But real success is lagging. The effects of your habits don't show up immediately, they accumulate over time. Consider an ice cube sitting in a freezing room. At 28 degrees, nothing happens. At 29, still nothing. 30, 31, 32, no change. But then, at 33 degrees, the ice begins to melt. Was it the final degree that caused the breakthrough? No, it was the gradual warming that built up over time. This is how the compound effect works. Progress is invisible until it reaches a tipping point. The key is sticking with small improvements long enough to see results. One of the biggest mistakes people make is quitting before they reach that tipping point. They assume their efforts aren't working because they can't see the progress. But results are happening beneath the surface. Imagine a stone cutter striking a rock. He hits it 100 times and nothing happens. On the 101st strike, the rock splits. Was it the final strike that made the difference? No, it was the accumulation of effort. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. Anyone can work hard for a week, but few can sustain small improvements for months or years. The compound effect rewards those who show up consistently. If you improve 1% daily, the changes will be exponential. The challenge is trusting the process, even when the results aren't obvious. Success doesn't come from a single big moment, it comes from daily habits that build momentum. Now it's time to apply this. Think of one area in your life where you want to improve. Instead of making a drastic change, commit to a tiny daily improvement. If you want to get stronger, do one push-up today. If you want to write a book, write one sentence. If you want to save money, put away $1. These actions may seem too small to matter, but they are votes for the person you want to become. Over time, they will compound into massive results. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to make these small improvements stick. You'll learn the science behind habit stacking and how to seamlessly integrate new behaviors into your daily routine. Chapter 3. The Science of Habit Stacking, Making Change Effortless. Building new habits is hard because most people rely on motivation. They wake up feeling inspired and commit to working out, eating healthy, or reading every day. But a few weeks later, life gets busy, motivation fades, and they fall back into old patterns. The problem isn't a lack of willpower, it's a lack of structure. If you have to remember to do something new every day, you're already making it harder than it needs to be. The key to making habits stick is removing friction and linking them to something you already do. This is where habit stacking comes in. Habit stacking is a technique where you attach a new habit to an existing one. Instead of trying to carve out extra time for new behaviors, you use routines already built into your day as anchors. The formula is simple: after my existing habit, I will new habit. By linking the new behavior to something automatic, it becomes effortless over time. You don't need reminders, and you don't have to rely on motivation. The habit simply becomes part of your routine. Think about habits you already do without thinking: brushing your teeth, making coffee, checking your phone, or putting on shoes. Each of these is an opportunity to stack a new habit. If you want to start flossing, you can stack it with brushing your teeth. After I brush my teeth, I will floss one tooth. If you want to practice gratitude, you can say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write down one thing I'm grateful for. If you want to meditate, try, after I put on my shoes, I will take 3 deep breaths. These small habits may seem insignificant, but they create a foundation for bigger changes. The best habit stacks are specific and logical. The key is pairing the new habit with something that makes sense. If you try to attach journaling to brushing your teeth, it might not feel natural, but if you attach it to drinking coffee, it fits seamlessly. The more natural the connection, the easier it is to remember. This is why people who struggle with working out should attach it to an existing part of their routine. Instead of saying, I will go to the gym 3 times a week, try, after I finish work, I will change into workout clothes. That simple act of putting on gym clothes increases the likelihood that you'll follow through. Another way to make habit stacking even more effective is to use what's called temptation bundling. This means pairing something you need to do with something you want to do. If you love listening to podcasts but struggle with working out, commit to only listening to your favorite podcast while exercising. If you enjoy social media but need to stretch more, only scroll Instagram while holding a stretch. By linking a habit you enjoy with one you're building, you create a positive reinforcement loop. A powerful example of habit stacking in action comes from a dentist who wanted his patients to floss consistently. Instead of telling them to floss daily, he told them to floss just 1 tooth after brushing. The request was so small that it felt silly not to do it, but once they flossed 1 tooth, they usually did more. Over time, this tiny habit turned into a full flossing routine. The same principle applies to any habit. If you make it ridiculously small, you remove resistance. Now it's time to put habit stacking into action. Choose one small habit you want to build. Then, find an existing routine you can attach it to. Use the formula: after my existing habit, I will new habit. Keep it small and easy. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Over time, these small habits will compound into significant change. In the next chapter, we'll explore the psychology of discomfort and why true growth only happens when you push just beyond your comfort zone. Chapter 4. The 4% Rule, the sweet spot for growth. Growth happens outside your comfort zone, but most people misunderstand what that really means. They either stay too comfortable, avoiding challenges altogether, or push too hard, overwhelming themselves and giving up. The key to sustainable growth is finding the right balance, just enough challenge to stretch you without breaking you. Science shows that the optimal level of challenge is about 4% beyond your current ability. This small but significant stretch is where real progress happens. If something is too easy, you don't grow. Your brain craves efficiency, so if you keep repeating what you already know, improvement stops. This is why people plateau in their careers, fitness, or personal development. They stick to what's familiar, never pushing past their limits. On the other hand, if something is too hard, frustration sets in. When you try to lift twice your max weight or learn a language by diving into complex conversations, your brain panics. It's too much, too fast. You end up feeling discouraged and quitting. The 4% rule ensures you're always growing, but at a pace that's manageable. Athletes use this principle to improve performance. A runner doesn't try to sprint a mile faster by shaving off a full minute in one session. Instead, they aim for a slight improvement, just a few seconds faster. A weightlifter doesn't double their weights overnight. They increase by small increments. This gradual progression keeps the challenge within reach while still forcing adaptation. Over time, these small improvements add up to massive breakthroughs. This principle applies to any skill. If you're learning a language, reading material that's slightly above your level forces your brain to adapt without overwhelming you. If you're trying to become a better public speaker, practicing in front of 5 people, instead of a large audience builds confidence without panic. The key is to find that slight discomfort, the feeling of stretching just enough to make you focus without shutting down. Video game designers understand the 4% rule intuitively. Games are designed to be challenging but not impossible. If a game is too easy, players get bored. If it's too hard, they quit. The sweet spot is when it's just difficult enough to make you feel like progress is within reach. That challenge keeps you engaged and motivated to improve. The same logic applies to personal growth. You need to be engaged at the right difficulty level to stay motivated. One of the best ways to apply the 4% rule is through deliberate practice. This means focusing on the parts of a skill that challenge you the most. If you're learning to play an instrument, don't just play the songs you're already good at. Spend time on the difficult sections, pushing yourself just beyond your current ability. If you're working on fitness, don't just maintain your current routine. Increase the intensity slightly each session. These micro-adjustments force adaptation, while keeping progress sustainable. Most people assume they need big leaps to improve, but science shows that small, intentional challenges lead to lasting growth. The problem is, many people either avoid discomfort entirely or take on too much at once. When you apply the 4% rule, you stay in that perfect zone, challenged but not overwhelmed. It's enough discomfort to trigger growth without triggering burnout. Now, take a look at an area in your life where you want to improve. Identify one specific way you can push yourself just slightly beyond your current ability. Maybe it's adding a little more weight to your workout, reading a slightly harder book, or speaking up more in meetings. Keep it small, but make sure it challenges you. When you do this consistently, growth becomes inevitable. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of mindset and why the way you think about challenges determines your success. You'll learn how to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, unlocking new levels of potential. Chapter 5. The Psychology of Mindset, Fixed versus Growth Thinking. Your mindset determines your success more than talent, intelligence, or luck. How you think about challenges, failure, and effort shapes what you're capable of achieving. Most people operate with either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. The difference between the two is massive. A fixed mindset says, I'm either good at something or I'm not. A growth mindset says, I can improve with effort. That simple shift changes everything. People with a fixed mindset avoid challenges because they fear failure. They believe that ability is set in stone, so struggling with something means they aren't good at it. This leads to self-sabotage. If they fail, they take it personally and quit. If they succeed, they stay in their comfort zone to avoid future failure. They see effort as a sign of weakness. If they were truly talented, they wouldn't have to try so hard. Over time, this mindset keeps them stuck. A growth mindset, on the other hand, sees challenges as opportunities. Struggle isn't proof of failure, it's proof of learning. People with this mindset understand that every skill is built through effort and persistence. They embrace setbacks because they know failure isn't final. Instead of saying, I'm not good at this, they say, I'm not good at this yet. This simple shift allows them to improve in ways that fixed mindset individuals never will. Studies on brain plasticity prove that effort literally rewires the brain. When you learn something new, your neurons form new connections. The more you practice, the stronger those connections become. This means that intelligence, talent, and skill are not fixed traits, they are trainable. The only thing stopping most people from improving is their belief that they can't. If you assume you've reached your limit, you won't put in the effort to grow. One of the most famous studies on mindset was conducted by psychologist Carol Dweck. She found that students who believed intelligence was malleable outperformed those who believed it was fixed. The difference wasn't in raw ability, but in how they responded to failure. Growth-minded students saw mistakes as learning opportunities, while fixed-mindset students saw them as proof they weren't smart. This single difference in perspective changed their long-term success. The language you use reinforces your mindset. People with a fixed mindset say things like, "I'm bad at math," or "I'll never be good at public speaking." These statements create mental barriers. Instead, growth-minded individuals say, "I can improve my math skills," or "I'm learning to be a better speaker." This simple language shift rewires the brain to look for solutions instead of roadblocks. A fixed mindset leads to avoiding feedback, fearing effort, and feeling threatened by others' success. A growth mindset leads to embracing feedback, putting in effort, and being inspired by others. One mindset keeps you stagnant, the other fuels lifelong improvement. The good news is, mindsets are not permanent. You can train yourself to think differently. To develop a growth mindset, start by challenging your beliefs about ability. When you hear yourself saying, "I'm just not good at this," reframe it. Tell yourself, "I can get better with practice." The next step is to seek out challenges rather than avoid them. Growth happens in discomfort. If something feels difficult, that's a sign you're improving. Finally, stop fearing failure. Every mistake is a lesson. The only way to truly fail is to quit. Now, take a moment to identify an area in your life where a fixed mindset has held you back. What would happen if you replaced that belief with a growth mindset? Choose one way to reframe your thinking today. When you shift your mindset, you unlock unlimited potential. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn failure into fuel. You'll learn why setbacks are not the end, but the beginning of real growth. Chapter 6. Reframing Failure. Turning Setbacks into Superpowers. Most people see failure as the end. They take a setback as a sign that they aren't good enough, weren't meant for something, or should give up. But failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every successful person has failed, not once or twice, but repeatedly. The difference is that they didn't stop. They used failure as feedback, adjusted, and kept moving forward. The way you respond to failure determines whether you grow or stay stuck. The fear of failure is one of the biggest barriers to success. It causes people to play small, avoid challenges, and stick to what feels safe. But playing it safe guarantees stagnation. Growth requires risks, and risks come with failure. The key is to stop seeing failure as proof of incompetence and start seeing it as data. Every failure provides valuable information about what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. The only real failure is refusing to learn from it. Thomas Edison famously failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset is why he succeeded where others quit. Instead of letting failure discourage him, he used it to refine his approach. If he had stopped after his first few failures, the world might still be in the dark. Reframing failure starts with changing your internal dialogue. Instead of thinking, "I failed, so I'm not good enough," say, "I failed, so I learned something valuable." Instead of, "I'm terrible at this," say, "I'm still improving." Your brain listens to the words you use. The more you frame failure as a learning opportunity, the less power it has over you. Neuroscience backs this up. When you fail, your brain forms stronger neural connections, reinforcing the lesson learned. Studies show that people who analyze their failures perform better in the future than those who avoid thinking about them. Ignoring failure leads to repeating the same mistakes. Facing it head-on accelerates growth. The more comfortable you become with setbacks, the faster you improve. One powerful way to reframe failure is to track your mistakes like scientists track experiments. Scientists don't consider an experiment a failure just because the result wasn't what they expected. They collect the data, adjust, and try again. You can apply the same mindset to any goal. If you start a business and it doesn't work, analyze why. If you try a new workout plan and don't see results, adjust your approach. If you bomb a presentation, figure out what went wrong and improve. Treating failure as an experiment removes the emotional weight and turns it into a strategic advantage. Some of the most successful people in the world have failed in ways that would make most people quit. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job because she was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. The reason they succeeded is simple: they kept going. Their failures weren't dead ends, they were stepping stones. Now, take a moment to reflect on a failure that made you doubt yourself. Instead of seeing it as a reason to quit, ask yourself, what did I learn? How can I adjust my approach? What will I do differently next time? The answers to these questions will turn your failure into fuel. Growth isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about using them to get better. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of tracking progress and why measuring small wins keeps you motivated. Success is not just about effort, it's about knowing where you're improving. Chapter 7. The power of tracking progress: what gets measured gets improved. Most people set goals, take action, and hope for the best. They work hard, but because they don't track their progress, they feel like they're not getting anywhere. This lack of visible progress leads to frustration, loss of motivation, and eventually quitting. But progress is happening, it's just not always obvious. The key to staying motivated and improving consistently is simple: track what you're doing. Tracking progress works because it gives you immediate feedback. When you measure something, you can see if you're improving or falling behind. This feedback loop helps you adjust your actions in real time. It also reinforces motivation. Seeing proof of progress, even in small increments, triggers a dopamine response in the brain. This is the same chemical that drives habits and motivation. When you see improvement, your brain wants to keep going. The biggest mistake people make is relying on feelings to measure progress. If you're trying to lose weight, you might feel like nothing is changing, but the scale tells a different story. If you're building a business, you might feel stuck, but reviewing your numbers shows steady growth. Feelings are unreliable, data isn't. Tracking keeps you objective and prevents emotional decision-making. One of the best ways to track progress is through habit tracking. A simple checklist, calendar, or habit tracking app can work wonders. If you want to exercise daily, mark an X on a calendar every time you work out. Seeing an unbroken streak builds momentum. If you want to write every day, track your word count. The more specific the tracking, the more effective it becomes. The key is to make progress visible. Another powerful tracking method is measuring inputs, not just outcomes. Most people track results, like weight loss or income, but those are lagging indicators. Instead, track the actions that lead to results. If your goal is to read more, track the number of pages you read daily. If your goal is to get stronger, track the number of workouts. Focusing on actions gives you control. You can't always control results, but you can control effort. Small wins are the foundation of long-term success. A study on motivation found that people who recorded small daily achievements were more likely to stick to their goals. Even minor progress boosts confidence and keeps momentum going. Progress tracking isn't just about discipline, it's about celebrating wins, no matter how small. Progress tracking also helps you course correct. If you're not improving, you have clear data to analyze. If you're not losing weight, you can review your habits. If your business isn't growing, you can assess what's working and what's not. Without tracking, you're guessing. With tracking, you're strategizing. A common misconception is that tracking has to be complicated. It doesn't. The simpler the system, the more likely you'll stick to it. A notebook, an app, or even a whiteboard can be enough. The goal is to make progress visible so your brain stays engaged. Now, it's time to apply this. Pick one area of life where you want to improve. Choose a simple way to track your progress. It could be marking excess on a calendar, writing down actions in a notebook, or using an app. The key is to keep it effortless. What gets measured gets improved. When you track your actions, success becomes inevitable. In the next chapter, we'll explore how environment shapes behavior. Your willpower isn't the problem, your surroundings are. You'll learn how to design an environment that makes success automatic. Chapter 8. Environment Design: How to Set Yourself Up for Success. Most people assume that success is about willpower. They believe that if they just try harder, they'll stick to their habits and reach their goals. But willpower is unreliable. It fluctuates based on stress, fatigue, and motivation. Relying on it is a losing game. The real secret to lasting change isn't more self-control, it's better environment design. Your surroundings shape your behavior more than you realize. If you want to change your habits, start by changing your environment. Your brain is wired to take the path of least resistance. If a habit is easy to do, you'll do it more often. If it's hard, you'll avoid it. This is why making good habits convenient and bad habits inconvenient is so powerful. Want to eat healthier? Keep junk food out of sight and stock your kitchen with nutritious options. Want to read more? Leave books where you can see them and put your phone in another room. These small environmental tweaks make good decisions effortless. One of the most effective ways to shape your environment is through cue-based design. Every habit starts with a trigger. If you associate your morning coffee with scrolling social media, that's your cue. If you leave your running shoes by the door, they become a cue to exercise. By intentionally placing cues in your environment, you can nudge yourself toward better habits. Want to work out more? Keep your gym clothes visible. Want to practice gratitude? Place a journal on your nightstand. Small cues lead to big changes. Another powerful strategy is reducing friction for good habits and increasing friction for bad ones. If you want to play guitar more, keep it out of its case and within arm's reach. If you want to spend less time on social media, delete the apps or move them to a hidden folder. The harder it is to do something, the less likely you are to do it. The easier it is, the more automatic it becomes. You don't need more discipline, you need fewer obstacles. Your social environment is just as important as your physical one. The people around you influence your habits, often without you realizing it. If your friends prioritize fitness, you're more likely to work out. If they eat poorly, you'll struggle to eat well. This is why surrounding yourself with people who embody the habits you want is so crucial. If you want to level up, spend time around people who push you forward. Many of the world's top performers design their environments for success. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, writes that he wanted to play more guitar, so he placed one in every room. Warren Buffett avoids distractions by keeping his schedule nearly empty. Top athletes remove decision fatigue by following strict routines. These strategies work because they make success automatic rather than requiring constant effort. Your workspace also affects productivity more than you think. If your desk is cluttered with distractions, it's harder to focus. A clean, organized space signals to your brain that it's time to work. Even small adjustments, like better lighting or a more comfortable chair, can improve performance. Your environment should support your goals, not sabotage them. Now it's time to apply this. Identify one habit you want to build or break. What small environmental change can make it easier or harder? Rearrange your space to support your goals. Make good habits unavoidable and bad habits inconvenient. Success isn't about willpower. It's about designing an environment that makes the right choices effortless. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of community. Your environment doesn't just include objects, it includes people. You'll learn why the people around you determine your success and how to surround yourself with the right influences. Chapter 9. The role of community, surrounding yourself with the right people. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether you realize it or not, the people around you shape your habits, mindset, and ultimately your success. If you want to level up, you must be intentional about who you surround yourself with. Success isn't just about what you do, it's about who you do it with. Humans are wired for connection. From an evolutionary standpoint, survival depended on being part of a tribe. Being accepted meant safety, while rejection meant danger. This instinct still influences behavior today. We subconsciously mirror the actions, beliefs, and habits of those around us. If your friends exercise regularly, you are more likely to work out. If your colleagues complain constantly, you'll find yourself complaining more. The people in your environment pull you in a direction, either toward growth or stagnation. One of the most powerful psychological forces is social proof. People look to others for cues on how to behave. This is why trends spread so quickly and why peer pressure is so strong. When you're surrounded by people striving for excellence, it becomes normal to push yourself. When you're around people who settle for mediocrity, it becomes easy to lower your standards. Your environment influences you more than motivation ever will. If you want to improve in any area, find a group where your desired behavior is the norm. Want to get in shape? Join a gym where people take fitness seriously. Want to be a better entrepreneur? Surround yourself with business-minded people. Want to become more disciplined? Spend time with disciplined individuals. Being in the right community makes success feel natural instead of forced. The power of accountability is also crucial. When you commit to something privately, it's easy to quit, but when others expect you to follow through, the stakes change. Studies show that people who share their goals with a supportive group are far more likely to succeed. Accountability creates positive pressure to take action. It turns your goals from ideas into obligations. It's also important to recognize when certain relationships are holding you back. Some people drain your energy, discourage your ambitions, or keep you stuck in old patterns. These people aren't necessarily bad, but they may not align with your growth. If your current circle doesn't support your goals, you have two choices: set boundaries or expand your network. You don't have to cut people off completely, but you can choose to spend more time around those who challenge and inspire you. Technology makes finding the right community easier than ever. If you don't have growth-minded people in your immediate environment, look online. Join forums, mastermind groups, or social media communities where people share your ambitions. Surrounding yourself with the right influences doesn't always require in-person connections. Even consuming content from high-level thinkers can shift your mindset. One of the simplest ways to upgrade your circle is by giving value first. Instead of seeking out successful people and asking for help, contribute something meaningful. Be the person who brings energy, shares knowledge, and supports others. When you provide value, the right people naturally gravitate toward you. Now it's time to evaluate your current environment. Who are the 5 people you interact with most? Do they push you to grow, or do they keep you stuck? If they aren't aligned with your goals, find ways to expand your network. Surround yourself with people who make excellence the norm. In the next chapter, we'll explore how managing energy, not just time, is the key to peak performance. You'll learn why energy levels determine productivity and how to optimize your daily routine for maximum impact. Chapter 10. Energy Performance, Managing Energy, Not Just Time. Most people think productivity is about time management, but that's only part of the equation. You don't just need more hours in the day, you need more energy to make those hours count. Time is fixed, but energy is flexible. Learning to manage your energy effectively is the real key to peak performance. Your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day. Some hours you feel sharp and focused. Other times you struggle to concentrate. This is because your body operates on ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of high and low energy that repeat every 90 to 120 minutes. When you push through these dips instead of working with them, your efficiency drops. Instead of forcing productivity, the smarter approach is to align tasks with your natural energy cycles. The first step to optimizing energy is identifying your peak performance window. Some people work best early in the morning, while others are more productive in the afternoon or evening. Pay attention to when you feel the most focused and schedule deep work during that time. Use lower energy periods for less demanding tasks like responding to emails or organizing your workspace. Aligning work with energy levels increases efficiency without extra effort. Sleep is another critical factor. Most people treat sleep as optional, sacrificing it for productivity. But sleep deprivation decreases focus, memory, and decision-making ability. High performers prioritize rest because they understand that better sleep leads to better results. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. A consistent sleep schedule, limiting screen time before bed, and a dark, cool environment all improve sleep quality. Nutrition also plays a major role in sustaining energy. Processed foods, sugar crashes, and dehydration drain mental clarity. To maintain steady energy, eat whole foods, protein, and healthy fats. Stay hydrated. Fatigue is often a sign of dehydration. Small changes in diet can have a huge impact on focus and endurance. Movement is another overlooked factor in energy management. Sitting for long periods slows circulation and reduces oxygen flow to the brain, leading to sluggishness. Regular movement, even short walks, can reset energy levels. Exercise isn't just for fitness, it's a performance booster. A few minutes of stretching, deep breathing, or light activity throughout the day keeps energy high. The biggest energy drain is mental clutter. Constant multitasking, decision fatigue, and information overload exhaust the brain. Simplifying decisions, batching tasks, and reducing distractions help conserve mental energy. High performers minimize unnecessary decisions so they can focus on what matters. Even small habits, like planning your day the night before, or wearing the same outfit daily, reduce decision fatigue, and free up mental space. Recovery is just as important as effort. Pushing nonstop without breaks leads to burnout. Short breaks improve focus and prevent exhaustion. The Pomodoro technique, working in focus sprints with short breaks, aligns perfectly with ultradian rhythms. Taking time for activities that recharge you, like hobbies or meditation, also replenishes energy levels. Now, take a moment to assess how you manage your energy. Are you working against your natural rhythms? Are you sacrificing sleep, ignoring nutrition, or skipping movement? Small changes in these areas can lead to massive improvements in performance. Choose one strategy, whether it's improving sleep, adjusting work schedules, or incorporating movement, and apply it today. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build unstoppable momentum. You'll learn why early wins create lasting success, and how to stay consistent even when motivation fades. Chapter 11. The Science of Momentum: How to Stay Consistent. Success isn't about working harder for a short time, it's about sustaining progress over the long term. Most people start strong but struggle to stay consistent. The key to lasting success is momentum. Once you build it, everything becomes easier. The challenge is getting started and keeping it going. Understanding the science of momentum helps you stay on track, even when motivation fades. Momentum works like a flywheel. At first, getting it moving takes effort, but once it starts spinning, it gains speed and requires less force to keep going. The hardest part of any habit or goal is the beginning. Most people give up too soon because they don't see immediate results, but those who push through the slow start eventually reach a point where progress feels automatic. One way to build momentum is by creating early wins. When you start with something small and achievable, you build confidence. Success triggers the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine. This makes you want to keep going. That's why successful people don't wait for motivation, they create it by stacking small wins. Each small victory reinforces the belief that progress is happening. Another key to maintaining momentum is reducing friction. If something feels difficult to start, you're less likely to do it. Make habits as easy as possible to begin. Want to work out? Lay out your clothes the night before. Want to read more? Keep a book within reach. The less resistance, the easier it is to take action. Once you start, momentum takes over. The 2-minute rule is another powerful strategy. If a habit feels overwhelming, scale it down to just 2 minutes. Instead of I have to work out for an hour, say, I'll do 1 push-up. Instead of I need to write a chapter, say, I'll write 1 sentence. These small actions eliminate the mental resistance to starting. And once you start, you often keep going. Momentum also thrives on consistency, not intensity. People often make the mistake of going all in too quickly. They push themselves too hard and burn out. It's better to be consistent with small efforts than to go big and quit. Writing 1 page a day leads to a book in a year. Exercising for 10 minutes daily beats doing nothing. The goal is to stay in motion, even if progress seems slow. Tracking progress keeps momentum alive. When you see proof of improvement, you're more likely to continue. This is why habit tracking works so well. A simple checkmark on a calendar or logging your progress in an app reinforces your commitment. Missing a day isn't the problem. Letting one missed day turn into a week is. When setbacks happen, recover quickly and get back on track. Your environment also plays a role in sustaining momentum. If you surround yourself with people who push forward, you're more likely to keep going. Being in a community that values progress creates accountability and motivation. If your environment supports your habits, momentum becomes effortless. Now take action. Choose one habit or goal and commit to a small, achievable step today. Focus on building early wins, reducing friction, and staying consistent. Momentum isn't built in a day, but once it starts, it carries you forward. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to make these changes last for life. You'll learn how to avoid backsliding, reinforce habits, and integrate personal growth into your identity. Chapter 12. Mastering the Long Game: How to Make Change Last Forever. Most people can change for a short period, but lasting transformation requires a different approach. Temporary motivation fades, willpower runs out, and old habits try to creep back in. The key to making progress last is to shift from short-term effort to long-term identity. True growth isn't about doing something for a few weeks, it's about becoming the type of person who does it for life. The biggest mistake people make is relying on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Instead of depending on motivation, build systems that make success automatic. When something is part of your routine, you don't have to think about it. Brushing your teeth isn't exciting, but you do it daily because it's a habit. Your growth should be the same way. Another reason people struggle to sustain change is because they aim for perfection. Perfection isn't the goal, consistency is. Missing one workout doesn't ruin your fitness. Eating one unhealthy meal doesn't destroy your diet. What matters is what you do most of the time. People who succeed long-term aren't perfect, they're just consistent enough to stay on track. The key is to never let one missed day turn into a week. Identity-based habits are the foundation of lasting change. When you tie your habits to your identity, they become permanent. Instead of saying, "I need to eat healthier," say, "I am someone who makes healthy choices." Instead of "I should work out," say, "I am someone who takes care of my body." When something becomes part of who you are, quitting feels unnatural. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce long-term habits is through reflection. Take time to review your progress regularly. What's working? What's not? What small adjustments can you make? Reflection prevents autopilot living and ensures you stay on track. Without reviewing progress, habits slowly fade. With consistent reflection, you refine and improve over time. Your environment plays a massive role in sustaining change. Surround yourself with people who reinforce your habits. If your friends, family, or colleagues support your growth, it becomes easier to stay committed. If they don't, find a community that does. You become like the people around you, so choose wisely. Momentum also plays a crucial role in long-term success. If you stop completely, restarting feels hard. The goal is to never lose momentum entirely. Even if you can't do something at full capacity, do a smaller version. If you don't have time for a full workout, do 5 minutes. If you can't read a full chapter, read 1 page. Small efforts keep the habit alive. Another way to make change last is to embrace growth as a lifelong process. There's no finish line. The most successful people keep evolving, improving, and learning. Growth isn't something you achieve once. It's something you commit to forever. When you accept this, you stop chasing quick fixes and start focusing on sustainable habits. Now, take a moment to look at your journey. Think about how far you've come and where you want to go. What identity do you need to reinforce? What systems can you put in place to stay on track? Choose one small action to solidify your long-term growth today. You now have the tools to level up in every area of your life. The next step is yours. Growth is a choice, and you have the power to keep moving forward. Your future self is waiting. Keep going, take care, and be well.